I wanted to post a quick video response to Ted's video. Thanks for asking important questions, by the way, Ted. The situation is very complicated at this point. You know, on the one hand, we have these ridiculous debates which amount to non-debates if you read the actual proposals on the table. And then we have hecklers, you know, disrupting speeches in Congress. I'm not entirely convinced that this is such a bad idea, because to tell you quite frankly, if this would have happened during the Bush-Cheney regime in Congress, while Bush was giving one of his speeches, and somebody would have called him out on it and told him that he was lying, I probably would have applauded it wholeheartedly. So the heckling issue is sort of a side issue at this point. The only thing I have to remember is that these very same hecklers today didn't speak up when their own Constitution was being trashed by their beloved leader. And Joe Wilson, as a matter of fact, is, you know, he's being funded by the insurance lobby, by Big Pharma and so on. I mean, he's received, you know, over $250,000 in his last campaign. So he isn't exactly coming from a neutral viewpoint here. It's a shame that the media, the mainstream media, focuses on just the heckling rather than focusing on the actual issues and the actual policies. And that's what I was trying to portray in my own video, because the policies on the table right now, as far as I'm concerned, are no good. And everybody in Congress is essentially lying about their motivations and lying about what is on the table. These proposals, and you should read Matt Taibbi's article over at Rolling Stone. I can't mention this article enough because it fleshes it all out for everybody, regardless of what your political persuasion might be. This current proposal would essentially force the uninsured into a private insurance program, sometimes subsidized by government funded money, sometimes not. And it's just another boom for the big insurers, and it's a guarantee for further profits for them. So I cannot be in favor of this. I am in favor of universal health care, which means that you can work together with a government funded program such as TRICARE. And by the way, TRICARE is the program that this Joe Wilson guy is covered under. You know, he doesn't have to worry. Everything is government funded under that program, which he seems to abhor. And he says, hey, it's socialism. But I guess some socialism is good for him, but not for others. In many industrialized countries, democracies, you can work in conjunction with a government-funded program and private insurance. It doesn't have to be either or, but it cannot remain the same as it is today. Mainly, private insurance just basically with no restriction whatsoever to raise their rates. Now, during Obama's speech, he said that it's a good thing that you can, it's a good thing that the insurance companies would be prevented from denying you coverage for pre-existing conditions and so on. But you need to read the fine print. The fine print says nothing about the private insurance companies raising their rates. All it says is that they have to cover you. It says nothing about them raising their rates until it just becomes unaffordable for you to pay for it. So, as I said, it's essentially, we're talking about the status quo. And we have, you know, continuous war funding in this country. It goes through automatically with both parties. And that's what people should be getting equally upset about. And Ted was right about the anti-war movement, you know, the liberal side of it. It's silent, absolute silence in the face of what is going on today. And there's no end in sight to these supplemental bills, war funding bills, in Afghanistan and elsewhere. So some of us are trying to, I guess, bring the bigger picture across. There isn't going to be any perfect system, but what is on the table today might actually break the system even further. And everybody knows the system is broken. Don't listen to rhetoric and speeches. Look up some policy positions, and yelling and screaming, you know, is not going to solve the problem. And we have to get our opinions out here in such a way as to oppose the yellers and screamers on the other side. And sometimes, yes, maybe we should scream back, you know? It's a very difficult position that we're in. And right now, the bigwigs at the corporations are winning the game again. And the debate is not being framed for ordinary people to understand. It's just who yells the loudest and gets the highest ratings. So you can't really believe anybody in Congress. Everybody is bought and paid for at this point, with very, very few exceptions. So people need to work together, and you can't blame it on illegal immigrants either, because the illegal immigrants, no matter what you believe, are already covered under our current system. And they should be, because I'll tell you what, if you have an emergency, a real, true medical emergency, that person is still a human being. And it is completely immoral to even put the position out there to deny this person any kind of care, if it is a true emergency, simply because they aren't a U.S. citizen. They're a human being just like you and me. And it is essentially the employers who are hiring these illegal citizens in order to bring down wages here at home, which should get the wrath of our criticism. It is a supply and demand question. And these people in their own country are being screwed just as much as we're being screwed here. So as long as something is just slightly better, they're going to try to survive somehow. You would be in the same position if China was to impose these rules on us today. So have a little compassion, people, and put the blame at the top, not at the bottom. Thanks for listening.